Good evening, this is Tacks. I'm Zakka. Jacob. After the open turf war in the Congress party in Rajasthan, the Congress High Command appointed observers came back to Delhi and submitted their report to interim President Sonia Gandhi. Now the report, we're given to understand, does not directly blame Gehlot, but it has sent show-cause notices to his key ministers and aides, Shanti Dhariwal, Dharmendra Rathod and Mahesh Joshi. Remember, these are close associates of the Chief Minister. These were the people who were at the forefront of the rebellion that we saw on Sunday and Monday. But the bigger and more pertinent question is, could such an open rebellion have happened without Mr. Gehlot's knowledge, if not his consent? Did the High Command completely underestimate Gehlot's support within the CLP and overestimate its own assessment of the situation on the ground? And most importantly, what happens now to the race to be Congress president? Can Gehlot still be convinced to be made Congress president, or will it send the wrong message that a person who is openly rebelling is now being pushed for the top post in the party? But first, let's listen into the story.
From falling out of favour to possibly being in with a chance, the jury's still out on Ashok Gehlot's fate in the upcoming Congress presidential elections. His refusal to give up the post of Rajasthan Chief Minister to arch-rival Sachin Pilot triggered a rebellion in the party's Rajasthan unit.
100% वही था, षड्यंत्र था टोटल, और उस षड्यंत्र में जनरल सेक्रेटरी इंचार्ज शामिल थे.
Despite a majority of MLAs in the Gehlot camp refusing to meet central observers and holding a parallel meeting, the party is only taking disciplinary action against a few of them, and Gehlot is getting a clean chit. Gehlot himself spoke to Sonia Gandhi and conveyed that he meant no disrespect towards the top leadership.
Only with the High Command they have to take it. सब ठीक हो जाएगा, सब ठीक हो जाएगा, चिंता करने की कोई जरूरत नहीं.
Sachin Pilot, whose supporters are outnumbered by Gehlot's, reached Delhi this evening and dodged questions from the media. The divide in Rajasthan comes at a time when Rahul Gandhi is leading Congress's Bharat Jodo Yatra, walking 3,570 kilometers from Kanyakumari to Kashmir.
खुद कांग्रेस पार्टी अपनी ही चतुराई के चक्रव्यूह में बुरी तरह से फंस गई, जो कि खुद अपने पार्टी और अपने परिवार को नहीं संभाल पा रहे हैं. वो देश मांग रहे हैं कि हमें देश जो है वो हमारे हवाले कर दो.
This is hardly the first time that Gehlot has flexed his political clout. So was it a wise decision to begin with to ask him to leave his chair and become party president? Did the Gandhis miscalculate his clout?
And we're getting breaking news just hours after central observers submitted their report to Sonia Gandhi. Show-cause notices have now been issued to 3 Gehlot MLAs, Shanti Dhariwal, Mahesh Joshi and Dharmendra Rathod, for holding parallel meetings. So far, we don't know of any direct action against Mr. Gehlot. But let me go across to Pallavi Ghosh, who's breaking that story for us. What may this mean by issuing show-cause notices to 3 of his key allies, key ministers and MLAs, Mr. Dhariwal, Mr. Joshi and Mr. Rathod? A, what signal is the High Command trying to send? And B, more importantly, is there anything in the report that implicates Mr. Gehlot for what happened on Sunday?
So if you look at the copy of those 3 show-cause notices, it gives 10 days time, Zakka, to all these 3 MLAs who are considered close to Ashok Gehlot, and essentially asking them, 1, why were they absent from the CLP meeting? 2nd, why did they engineer a kind of a resignation, and saying that this is a violation of the party discipline, and within 10 days they'll have to respond to it, failing which action could be taken against them. In the 9-page report which has been submitted, Zakka, is essentially a sequence of events and what happened in Jaipur. It doesn't give a clean chit to Ashok Gehlot, but it does mention Ashok Gehlot in the sequence of events. The point over here that remains is that why a direct action cannot be taken against him is because Gehlot has maintained this line that he was completely unaware of what the MLAs were doing and he was not even present there, and therefore he cannot be blamed. He pretty much said the same thing when he spoke to Mrs. Gandhi earlier this evening. So as of now, no action being mulled against Ashok Gehlot, but at least against the 3 of the MLAs who we have shown in that mention in that show-cause notice, the 3 of them can face action. What does it mean? Well, Zakka, it essentially means no tolerance zone as far as the top leadership is concerned.
But very quickly, you've been covering Congress for a number of years. could such a rebellion, such an open rebellion, have happened without Mr. Gehlot's knowledge? Forget about consent, but at least certainly his knowledge, number one. And number two, by giving 10 days to these people, these three gentlemen, to respond, by which time I presume the nomination process for the Congress president will be over. What may that mean for that process itself and Mr. Gehlot's chances of standing in that election?
So the first thing is, yes, I agree with you. It couldn't have happened without the knowledge of Ashok Gehlot, considering the way he has a grip over the party organization. If you remember, when Sachin Palit had so-called rebelled the last time round, he had managed to keep his bloc together. Also, the sequence of events which the report does mention the fact that the CLP meeting was actually called at the behest of Ashok Gehlot. When the MLAs went to Ashok Gehlot's residence, they were told that the meeting is taking place at Shanti Dhaliwal's residence, and so on and so forth. So therefore, by insinuation, Ashok Gehlot's name is very much there. Second, as far as the nomination is concerned, there's still a possibility that Ashok Gehlot files the nomination paper on 29th or 30th. What top Congress sources tell me is that nothing is going to stop him, but winning is the criteria. If the messaging is going across through Chinese whispers that, Ashok Gehlot no longer is in favor, then will the 9,000 delegates actually end up voting for Ashok Gehlot? It may not be a cakewalk for him. And third, of course, you're correct. The nomination process will be over. The elections are going to take place on 17. I don't think the top leadership over here wants to meddle too much. But at the same time, they want to send out a message that enough is enough.
All right, enough is enough. Let's see if that message is going through. Because at least the action that has been so far reported on is the notices to these three individuals. No direct action against Ashok Gehlot just yet, but we'll see how that plays out. For the moment, thanks very much, Pallavi. Let me now bring in our guests who are joining us on this talking point. Shehzad Poonawala, BJP national spokesperson here in our studios. Rashid Kidwai, author and senior journalist who's been tracking the Congress for a number of decades now. Kapil Madan is a political analyst. Kailash Adhikari, managing director of governance now, and Sanjeev Srivastav, senior journalist. Rashid, let me start with you. I mean, you've covered many such, internal coups, external coups within the Congress party. Tell me, have you seen something of this sort where a chief minister, and arguably a chief minister who's reasonably powerful, certainly has his ear to the ground, completely feigns ignorance when there is a major rebellion going on within his CLP? Close to 90 MLAs who are either direct Congress MLAs or those who are supporting his government have rebelled and said that they will not back anybody other than Ashok Gehlot or Ashok Gehlot's nominee. And he says he has no damn clue about it. Is it possible?
I think, Zakka, from Congress point of view, it is seen as a kind of climb down on the part of Mr. Ashok Gehlot. He is not defiant. He is not being Amrinder Singh or Jyotiraditya Scindia or anything like that. So the Congress High Command wants to tighten the screws. The kind of, the show cause notices that have been issued other than Gehlot is a signal to him to tame, to surrender, to, let, Congress High Command have a say in who would be his successor. And then perhaps there is a kind of window for him to file nomination. Remember, the Congress would want a kind of somewhat tamed, somewhat humiliated Ashok Gehlot as Congress president. It works for Gandhis because he will not have that kind of moral authority he would have had 5 days ago.
Rashid, once again, who has been tamed now? I think, I think the opposite effect seems to be happening. It seems to be that the High Command has been tamed and Ashok Gehlot has emerged stronger because, he's engineered this coup. He's basically saying that, you want to remove me, you show how much support your alternate candidate has within the CLP.
Zakka, that's a point of view, but it is he is not defiant. He is not sticking to. He is saying all his MLAs are professing loyalty to Rahul Gandhi, Sonia Gandhi. That's a sweet music to the Gandhis, to the Congress High Command. I know, what happened yesterday was very bad optics for the Congress. When it happened, all those kind of, so-called revolt happened. But who's the one?
I don't know. Maybe this is just me saying that seems to be like a very charitable view of what happened yesterday. I'm very clear, and Shehzad Poonawala is here, that, Mr. Gehlot can feign ignorance absolutely perfectly fine. But I refuse to believe that somebody who is so organizationally grounded had no clue that up to 90 MLAs in the Congress legislature party are throwing their weight behind him. I'm not saying he engineered it. I'm not saying that, he was the sutradhar behind it. But to say that he had no clue about it, I don't think that's true at all. And secondly, again, I humbly disagree with Rashid. I think this shows the High Command in extremely poor light, if for nothing else, for underestimating Ashok Gehlot's strength within the CLP.
Zakka, there are three key takeaways from whatever we've been seeing happening in Rajasthan. Firstly, what concerns us as a political party, because the internal ongoing developments within the Congress is really not our business, but what concerns us is the fact that Rajasthan has been pushed once again into political instability, the kind we've seen ever since their government has come to power. And for the first 2 years ago, we've seen how it ran for 50 odd days, just political instability on the horizon, and that led to bad governance, malgovernance in Rajasthan, which we continue to see today. It's number one in rapes, number one in crimes, number one in tushtikar, number one in riots. Now, having said that, two other takeaways that are evident. One, that the Congress party so-called internal elections is nothing but a farce of an exercise. I do not just come on your debate shows, I also watch your channel all day long, and I was seeing the developments as to how now Mr. Ashok Gehlot has been essentially put out of the race, and there are 2 or 3 names being discussed by the High Command whom they will pick. So it's essentially finding the most convenient remote control, and this was what the exercise was always about.
No, so you're saying now Gehlot can't run, or the High Command will ensure that he
well,
doesn't
I
run?
consider CNN News 18 to be a very credible channel, thanks to your kind of reportage and coverage, and therefore going by your reports and going by reportage from people like Pallavi and others who know what they're talking about, it's quite evident that Mr. Ashok Gehlot has run out of favor with Rajmata, and therefore Rajmata Sonia will not have him there. Second takeaway that can be seen is that the fact is that the High Command of the Congress party, which has very little credibility amongst the public, has lost its credibility or whatever ounce of credibility even amongst darbaris, and therefore you have a situation where somebody who was supposed to be the remote control is actually telling them that I will not be remote controlled by you. Thirdly, on your specific question about Ashok Gehlot, the chief whip, the minister who's in charge of parliamentary affairs, the person who's the leader of their house, the party president in Rajasthan, all of them, according to the Congress party's leadership, Ajay Makan, were engaging in this act of indiscipline. Do you think that if Mr. Ashok Gehlot is so clueless that he doesn't know what their chief whip, the state president and the minister in charge of parliamentary affairs is doing in Rajasthan, then clearly he should not be in the position of the chief minister himself.
No.
So clear, one thing is very evident, Zakka, is that, look what has happened. Look at the larger trend. The last big leader they had, Ghulam Nabi Azad, out of the party, former chief minister. In Punjab, former chief minister Amrinder Singh, out of the party. Now another one of the last satraps they have, almost out of the party. You look at every state after state, Congress has been losing its regional leaders and non-Gandhi leaders simply because the Gandhis who have little credibility left still continue to impose their writ upon it without even having a farce of a consensus.
So just one point there, and I'll ask Sanjeev Srivastava this. I think the most comparable example is what happened with Amrinder Singh. The critical difference between Amrinder Singh and Ashok Gehlot is Amrinder Singh had no support within the Congress legislature party in Punjab, whereas Gehlot does. In fact, he has substantial support within the CLP. But what he and his supporters are arguing for, Sanjeev Srivastava, basically that let the new CLP leader, if they want to choose a new CLP leader, let that process be held in abeyance. Let that happen after the election of Congress president is concluded. Then you choose. Till such time, let Mr. Gehlot continue to be chief minister. So basically, he's running for Congress president, but he'll continue to be chief minister. Isn't that a blatant conflict of interest?
Well, that's what Ajay Makan said, Zakka, that's a conflict of interest. More than conflict of interest, and that was a bargaining position, or that was a demand day for yesterday. So much has changed since then in the last 48 hours or so. So that effectively would have meant that Mr. Gehlot would have become the party president and would have been in a position to choose his successor in Jaipur. Because how can you defy the party president's wish once he becomes? So that was the game plan. I think both sides royally messed it up. Mr. Gehlot overplayed his card. I think what he wanted to convey and put across was a show of strength, that he enjoys a majority within the CLP, a very, very comfortable majority. But in the end, he managed to convey that there was a virtual rebellion in the state against the High Command, which I'm sure was not his intent. But, scripts can go wrong, and they have their own momentum. And, of course, the party leadership, like you were saying, the central party leadership, completely clueless. if they were to affect a change, if they had to remove Ashok Gehlot, if they had somebody in mind, maybe Sachin Pilot confirmed, they should have made all the homework and groundwork ready. They should have talked to Ashok Gehlot in detail. They should have made Sachin and Gehlot sit together, taken into confidence senior party leaders, ministers from Rajasthan. It is not a high command of the year. It's no Mrs. Gandhi with Makhanlal Photedar changing chief ministers at the drop of a hat. You are a party with 50 MPs. So in the end, there is egg on everybody's face. And now, since this evening, I don't have any direct knowledge, but what I am understanding and my assessment from reading and Twitter and comments of leaders like Digvijay Singh, Ambika Soni, what a reporter just said, I think there is an attempt being made to somehow save the situation. To somehow keep Ashok Gehlot on board and still change him, still do what you want. And that's why perhaps his name is not there in that list or the report notice, because you can't really have an Ashok Gehlot being thrown out of the party. Then the whole exercise becomes meaningless. So in the next couple of days when he comes to Delhi, meets Mrs. Gandhi, and then there are sufficient leakage of reports about how he has once again swore allegiance and his harmlessness, his commitment and ready to bide with all decisions. Then maybe he'll be blessed again, ki chalo become Congress president, let our man be the chief minister in Jaipur. There also he may still start to insist again, see the majority of MLAs don't want him. So I think it is still an unfolding situation right now, with everybody coming out a loser.
Kapil Madan, you know,
the
thing is that fair enough, the High Command wanted to make these changes, and you know, to the extent that they are saying, okay, if you're going to run for Congress president, you can't continue to be chief minister. There, I completely agree. I mean, if the Congress party wants to send out the signal that the top job, you know, is up for an election, then whoever is running for it has to be vying and you know, wanting that top job. You can't say that I will continue to be chief minister and yet I will run for Congress president. So in that I get. But the point, Kapil Madan, is the Congress High Command completely underestimated how much support Ashok Gehlot has within the legislature party and completely overestimated its own capacity to get Mr. Gehlot to fall in line, and B, if they had an alternate candidate like Sanjeev Srivastava was saying, if it was Sachin Pilot, they completely overestimated Sachin Pilot's support within the CLP. Ultimately, it's the CLP that decides who their majority leader is.
So, Zakka, I would like to first respond. I think Shehzad made a remark and he said that it is not a process wherein you are going to elect. It is a process where you're going to select. And I think the fact what is happening in Rajasthan clearly shows and disproves what Shehzad is saying, because had it been a selection, they would have simply allowed Mr. Gehlot to continue as a chief minister in Rajasthan, and at the same time should have also given him the opportunity to run for the Congress president. The fact that they are insisting that you can have only one party, one post, if you are running for the second post, you have to do away with your previous post shows what? Shows that yes, it is a process. It is a democratic process, unlike the BJP, wherein there is a system of authoritarian rule, wherein you don't have an opposition, wherein there is no other candidate. Mr. Nadda just got his second term. So what Shehzad is trying to say here is that there is no other person who could have competed, or there are no good leaders except Mr. Nadda in the party.
No, Kapil, I think you're missing. I think you're missing the tree for the woods. One second. Hear me out. Give me 10 seconds. The tree for the woods argument here is this. Hear me out. Either the Congress president's job is the most important job in the Congress party, and therefore whoever is running for it, he or she, has to dedicate himself or herself for that job. You cannot think of that as some part-time vocation while you continue to be chief minister. Right?
I agree.
So if Mr. Gehlot thinks that being chief minister is more important, and fair enough, I mean, he can have that view, then he should make it clear he doesn't want to run for Congress president. He doesn't think running for Congress president is as important as being chief minister. Finish.
I completely agree.
Then why is he not doing that?
In fact, if you look at what the statements, I think Mr. Makan made a statement that prima facie it is a case where
the MLAs have crossed the line, and it falls under the under the definition of indiscipline, because there was a meeting that was called. The MLAs were not present in that meeting. Rather, they had a
Parallel meeting
somewhere else.
Yeah,
they had
exactly.
parallel meeting somewhere else, and that's the reason why they are. They are without any kind of fear and favor. They are saying, this is prima facie indiscipline.
No. MLAs not only not show up for a CLP meeting, they have a parallel meeting, even when when the CLP has been called officially.
Yes.
And then the Chief Minister on top of that says, I have no clue about this parallel meeting. And now there is show cause notice issued to 3 of these MLAs. They have 10 days time to respond, by which time the election process is over. At least the time to file the nomination is over. Kailash Adhikari. So basically what they're saying is, we'll take action against these people, but we'll give them 10 days. Maybe we'll take action 1 month from now after the entire process is over. Thereby basically giving Mr. Gehlot what he wants, right?
No, Zakka,
No, one second. Let Kailash respond to that.
Thank you, Zakka. Firstly, it is very hard to believe that the Rajasthan Chief Minister, who is an astute politician and into politics since the past 5 decades, doesn't know about the fact that more than double digit of his MLAs staged a kind of a revolt, and he was not aware of it. That is very hard to believe. And secondly, Zakka, I'll reiterate the point which I said last time also, that this particular incident has again brought to light that for Congress and for the family, the Gandhi family, more than Bharat Jodo, it should be Congress Jodo. This has again come to the light. And I believe that Shehzadji was quite considerate in saying that there is little credibility left. I believe that there is zero credibility left. And this all stems from the fact where Mr. Rahul Gandhi had sent that one man, one post within the Congress party. And this has all, if you see the crux of the matter, it has all stemmed from there. And Mr. Rahul Gandhi, as we all know, the 8 years of his political performance is a testimony to the fact that there is no credibility left. And everything stemming at the one state that they have, apart from Chhattisgarh, it is all turning into a turmoil. And now, more than Mr. Rahul Gandhi, the arrow of zero credibility is moving sadly towards Mrs. Gandhi, and it's high time that the Congress introspects. Rather than Bharat Jodo, it should be Congress Jodo.
No. So Rashid, here's the thing. The problem for the Congress party is the timing is so horrible that you had the Goa situation happening while Bharat Jodo was going on. Now you have a congressman who has been congressman for 50 years rebelling, openly rebelling. And this is happening in the middle of Bharat Jodo. So what was the point of Mr. Gehlot coming last week, meeting Sonia Gandhi, going all the way to Kochi to meet with Rahul Gandhi, having a chat with Rahul Gandhi, and then coming out and saying, okay, the Congress president's job is the most important in your party. Therefore, we can't have one person doing 2 jobs. What was the point of all of that? If all along this open rebellion was going to happen, then he needn't have done all this trip to Kochi and trip to Delhi. He could have just told the High Command on a phone call that, look, I'm not going to step down as Chief Minister. I'm not interested in running as Congress President.
Zakka, one of the premise that we have is that we tend to look things in black and white, whereas in politics it's far more, nuanced, it's far more, intriguing, etc. And this is a real example of that. Mr. Gehlot is not a rebel, at least that's what he's trying to project. The Congress, as Shehzad was pointing out, is not in a position to see an exit of another regional satrap or a stalwart or whatever you want to call it. So this is halfway. The High Command wants to salvage its image, what happened day before yesterday. And they want to, project a scenario where Mr. Gehlot would be seen as, climbing down. This show cause notice to 3 persons is a signal to Mr. Gehlot to mend ways, to come to Delhi and say that, you see, what happened in Jaipur was unfortunate. What he will do is to, if Gandhi is permitting, he would apply, he would contest for Congress President post. A weak Congress President suits Gandhi's more. And third most important thing, he would not have a say in the successor issue.
No. One second.
Yeah.
So give me a timeline. So let's say, both sides are patching up, right?
Yeah.
He's going to come to Delhi. He's going to tell the High Command, I'm very sorry for what happened on Sunday. I had no clue. It was these guys, blah, blah, blah. and then he takes the nomination papers, files his papers to become Congress president, and if all is well, as you say, then, the signal will go to the delegates that he is the chosen one. He may even win the Congress president's election. So you will get to a stage where he is both Congress president and chief minister, and you're saying he won't have a say on who his successor is going to be.
Precisely. So, Zakka, you must understand there is a paucity of time. 30th September is the last date of filing nominations. So whatever Mr. Gehlot has to do, he has to do it fast. And that's where the real problem comes, because he has to swallow a lot of humiliation in saying that he was wrong and that he would not have a say in the successor issue. And that is something, it's really tightrope walk. That's
why would he say any of that, Shehzad? As far as I'm concerned, I think it's the High Command that needs to climb down and not him, because he seems to be controlling all the aces here.
I think what is evidently clear is the fact that this is no longer the Congress of Indira Gandhi, where it used to run unopposed, where they could take decisions and run roughshod over people. Today, it's a weakened High Command which can't even manage to win its bastion of Amethi. So that's the practical reality of the situation. Now, let me come to a couple of points. For no reason, I call the AICC not as All India Congress Committee, but All India Contradictory Committee. Look, on the one hand, Mr. Ajay Makan and Rahul Gandhi, and by the way, what is the locus of Rahul Gandhi to advise somebody about one person, one post? What is his locus? He's just an MP, right? But he's advising the future president that they should adhere to this particular position. What is his locus? His own family has never adhered to that, by the way. Rajiv Gandhi, party president and prime minister. Sonia Gandhi, chairperson of NAC and party president, and even Mr. Narasimha Rao, party president and prime minister, Indira Gandhi, party president and prime minister. He is lecturing others about one person, one post. I mean, can there be more hypocrisy than this? Secondly, please tell me, when they talk about internal democracy, what Mr. Madan was talking about, here you have a situation where Mr. Ashok Gehlot has not even filed a nomination. Before that, why are you having a CLP to change him? When he wins, that means you have already pre-decided that he is going to win. That means it's not an election. Thirdly, as far as because every channel is doing this, Naddaji is re-elected.
I wanted to ask you that question.
Let me put it on record. First of all, we in the last 24 years, compared to the Congress, which has had only 2 presidents, Sonia and Rahul, we've had 9 presidents, all of them elected, including Mr. Nadda. When there is an election year, like for 2019 or 2024, sometimes the national executive, which is empowered to decide the schedule of the elections, takes a decision to postpone the internal elections of the Congress, of the BJP for a year, because you can't have internal elections at a time when you're fighting a national election. That decision is taken entirely by the national executive and then the parliamentary board to extend the tenure and to conduct the internal elections, say after 6 months after the elections of the nation are over. That is entirely prerogative of an elected national executive and an elected parliamentary body to do. That has not happened. So I'm not going to respond to source-based news. But this is the way our party operates. Please don't even get
that is now the extension, right? That is now the extension
this is the news. This is the source-based news about the extension. There's been no clarity
fair
on
enough.
this.
But what about when he got elected?
Let me come to that also. Under Article 19 of the Bharatiya Janata Party's constitution, 75% of our booth level, mandal level, state level organizations were elected. The entire information was sent to the Election Commission. Then a schedule for his election was announced, as was done for all other 9 presidents of our party. And according to that, an election was conducted and Mr. Nadda is an elected president. They have no doubt.
But elected unopposed.
Well, that doesn't mean that there is no election. Okay. We have had many presidents of India elected unopposed, but doesn't mean there was no election.
Kapil Madan.
So I will, Mr. Poonawala mentioned that there is only an extension given to Mr. Nadda, and you very rightly.
Please, I have not said that.
No, reportedly.
I have explained how the process will work if there is supposed to be one.
Officially, he's not got it yet, but reportedly. Okay, go on.
I will go by what Shehzad is saying. Shehzad is now saying he's quoted an article, but he's not sure whether that article is followed or not.
Okay, go on. Make the substantive point. Yeah.
I will not because Shehzad wants to say something, but he does not want to.
Baba, why are you firing off his shoulders? You attack him directly. No.
So I ask a question. Mr. Amit Shah was also made party president like this. Mr. Rajnath Singh was also made a party president like this.
Let me add
Mr.
clarity.
Nadda was also made a party president like this.
No, so, he's saying it's all elections.
Can I just
they may be elected unopposed, but it's all elections.
Can I just address this with one firm example? Kapil, I've understood your point. Just give me 10 seconds to address this. Mr. Amit Shah was elected as the party president in 2016. In 2019, his term was to get over, but because we were facing a national election, January 2019, an internal election could not be conducted. The national executive therefore decided that the internal elections of the BJP will be held 6 months, within a period of 6 months after the national election. And at that time, the parliamentary board and the national committee executive, both elected bodies of the BJP, took that decision to extend it as they are empowered by the constitution. If that system has to be followed for Mr. Nadda, it will be done. It will be announced by the national executive and the parliamentary board, not by a spokesperson of the party. So hang on and don't rely on some source-based news that is conveniently planted for you to make hay while the sun shines. So please, this is the process our party follows, and it's an election process by which all our presidents have been elected.
Okay. Yeah, Kapil. Yeah, now respond.
I will just make a very short rebuttal to what Shehzad is saying. So Shehzad is saying that when a person gets elected unopposed, I would presume that in the entire party, I mean the party that has more than 300 plus MPs, there is no second person who find himself capable to contest for the party's president. This is
but the same thing can be said of the Congress also, no? For the last 24 years, all the elections have been unopposed.
So the point I'm trying to make here is that the underpinning of what is happening while they elect a party president is selection and not election. Because
okay, anyway, this is a debate that can go on and on. I want to come back to Ashok Gehlot because I think that is the substantive part of the debate, and I'll go back to Sanjeev Srivastava. How do you see this playing out? I think the fact that the show cause notices have gone to his people, not directly to him, is the High Command giving him, as Rashid says, a window of opportunity, perhaps to come to Delhi, perhaps atone for his sins, and then say, "Theek hai, maaf kar diya, ab jaake nomination bharo"?
Well, I said that as well, that a patch-up is being worked out. That's what the latest buzz is. And some kind of a face saver will be given to Mr. Gehlot, but at least for the near future, Mr. Gehlot's prime is behind him so far as the Congress party is concerned. And this whole debate about one person, two posts is quite meaningless because, frankly, one has to remember that this is all a part of a package deal. Mr. Gehlot was being considered to be a party president because they wanted the Jaipur Chief Minister's, Rajasthan Chief Minister's post to be empty, and they were giving Mr. Gehlot a very dignified, respectful and graceful way out to go out of the office because the leadership was more or less convinced. See, in 1998 when Mr. Gehlot was first made the Chief Minister, the party got 150 seats. Parasram Maderna, Jat leader, was the president, state Congress president. Since then, in both 2003 and then again in 2013, the party got 20 odd seats, and in 2003, I think around 50 odd seats. So there was this feeling that Mr. Gehlot, with all his good work, is not able to repeat the government, and so we need to have somebody else, and Sachin Pilot's claim was waiting. So I really don't know who would have been the successor of Mr. Gehlot. But this one-man, two-post was impossible because he was being kicked upstairs because that post was to be vacant. And between Zakka, with all regards and respect, in this particular situation, there is no comparison between the Congress Chief Minister's post in a state and Congress President, especially when you are a non-Gandhi. So you always, as Congress President, have to kowtow to Gandhis. And the Chief Minister is the most powerful person in the country. I think it's a more powerful post than the Prime Minister or a District Magistrate. DM, CM, PM mein. CM in some ways is the most powerful post.
That's your view,
Zakka, I mean, Sanjeev is a good friend of mine. This is the first instance where a person who is on the verge of losing this battle, as it were, is giving a face saver to somebody who's clearly proven that he's more mightier in Rajasthan and calling the shots.
Which is
this
why
is a very strange situation.
I was saying, I think Mr. Gehlot still has all the aces up his sleeve. There's no compelling reason for why he should quit as Chief Minister. But we will see. We will see if he takes up this face saver that the High Command will presumably offer him. But I'll leave it at that. Thank you very much to all our guests. We'll see how the story plays out for the Congress party. But like I said, right now, the High Command has not covered itself in glory because they seem to have completely underestimated the support that Mr. Gehlot had within the CLP and seem to have completely overplayed their hand as well. I'm going to take a quick break, but as we take that break, don't forget to vote for your favorite social change warrior, the one you feel deserves to be the Indian of the Year social change. Just go to indianoftheyear.com and mark your vote. I'll catch you right on the other side of this quick break.